Folks, welcome to EDU 387. I'm Cindy Dean, and I'm going to be your instructor for this course. Looking at my class roster, I see that some of you are not new to Dr. Cindy classes, but many of you are, so welcome. I hope you'll enjoy your experience with me. This video is meant to give you a tour of our Blackboard site to help you to see how I set things up. I think each instructor does things a little bit differently, so it's good to have this tour at the beginning of the semester. By the way, before I proceed, just want to let you know that I am recording from home on a Sunday afternoon in the loft, the apartment that we have over our garage. It's a nice place. It's my sort of little office. It's a nice place to work. I have my dog out here with me, and she is probably going to bark or make some noise, and you can probably hear her dog tags jingling as she's walking around. So I apologize if that's intrusive to you, but she's part of my life, and she's generally almost in some way, in shape, or form, part of everything I do. So, so here we go. So this is the announcements page, and when you open up your Blackboard site, this is what you'll land on. And here's where I'm going to post the video, and it's also where I will put important news, announcements, and so forth and so on. The second, we're going to look over here to the menu. The second tab over here is about the course site. Gives you some interesting information about some of the features of Blackboard. I don't use them all, but you know, it's good for you to take a look at them. What is important here is to understand this browser choice. So Blackboard does not play well with Safari or Internet Explorer. It does play really well with Firefox. So you will need to download Firefox and use that as your primary browser for Blackboard if you are not already doing so. Chrome works sometimes, but not always. So there have been some issues. But most things do work. So you choose what you want to do, but if you're having trouble with Chrome, go to Firefox. There's a link here for resources. If you're new to Blackboard, you might want to explore that as well. And then the syllabus is next, but I'm going to skip that for a second. Instructor information, this is where you can find information about me, where you can reach me, my office hours. This is also on the syllabus as well. Learning resources is just a resource for you to get to the library, to get library help, and that seems to be there twice, so I don't know why, but it is anyway. And technical and Blackboard support, again, here is a phone number for you, and this is also on the syllabus, and here's a place where you can download Firefox, so it's a quick link to get there. All right, let's go back to the syllabus, because I do want to go over that with you. It's attached as a Word document, so you'll want to open it up and download it and take a look at it. All right, so here are the usual suspects: my name, my address, my office hours, phone numbers, course description, course text. Course text you should already have. Looks like this. So make sure you have it. We use this every week. Okay, bookstore has it, so make sure you check in. You can buy an e-copy. I think you can rent it. A bunch of different ways of accessing that text. So the course outcomes for this course are aligned with the main teaching standards. I think most of you who have taken courses, education courses, are familiar with those main teaching standards. Excuse me, those of you who are not will become familiar with at least these three. Learning development 1E, learning differences 2H, and professional practice and ethical practice 9J. And from those broad anchor standards, I have created the course goals for this, the course outcomes for this course that is specifically aimed at this particular course. So at the end of this course, you will be able to identify the cognitive, educational, and social behavioral characteristics of children and adolescents with various types of exceptionalities. This relates to 2H, learning differences. You'll be able to explain the historical, philosophical, and legal rationale for providing specialized services for exceptional populations. This relates to professional practice and ethical practice, 9J. You'll be able to explain the laws related to exceptional children's rights and a teacher's responsibility to these children. That's also part of ethical practices. And then you will be able to create lesson plans that take into account individual differences within an inclusive environment. This relates to learning development and learning differences. All right, so these are the course outcomes. These four will be very important for you to pay attention to throughout the course. Everything in this course is aimed at giving you capacity to be able to do these things. More information on contacting me, expectations for the course. It's a rigorous course. It meets on Wednesday, so that doesn't mean that we come together in a specified place on Wednesday. It means that by 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning, you can expect to have the next week's work all up and ready to go. So you need to access the course by 9 o'clock on Wednesday morning to be able to get that information. If you get it a little bit later, that's fine. It's not saying you have to be there right at 9 o'clock, but that's when everything becomes available. All assigned work is then due by midnight on the Tuesday before the next module, okay? And this is it. This is incorrect here. The module covers 2 weeks. It is not correct. It covers 1 week. This was from a previous course, so I will correct that. So in other words, on this particular Wednesday, you'll be assigned a discussion forum, and that will be due by Tuesday at midnight the next week. Now, having said that, the expectations for discussion forums are that you participate early and often. So just logging in once a week is not sufficient. Logging in at 11 o'clock before things are due and dashing off a post and responses is not sufficient. I expect you to engage in the conversation early and throughout the week and respond to at least 2 of your peers. There are 30 people enrolled in this course. I don't expect you to respond to all 30 of them. I do expect you to read broadly so that you are reading more than just 2 people, that you're choosing and looking at several responses to read that week. If you can read all of them, that's even better, but I know that sometimes time is such as it is that that's not always possible. So if you choose to do a subsection, try to do a different subsection each week so you get a sense of the broad range of ideas and opinions in this course. And here are again some parameters for you. Please read that through. Make sure that you are adhering to those. Again, time expectations again is huge. You need to be devoting at least 9 to 12 hours a week to this class. The major assignments, there's 5 points deducted for every day they're late. Discussion forums, if they're not posted by the appointed time, then they don't get counted unless there are some extenuating circumstances. You of course need internet and technology to do this course. It's vital to have the video and audio capacity as well. If you don't have internet at home, I'm not sure why you're taking the course. It'll be very difficult for you to do this. If you're going to rely on going to a friends or neighbors or parents or to school to do this, that's fine. But make sure you're allowing enough time to do that and not just once a week. Incomplete policy, you can read that on your own. Academic integrity, you can read on your own. Accommodations, you can read on your own. Title IX, you can read on your own. Just know that as an employee of UMA, I am a mandatory reporter. So if you allude to or provide information on any of these things, sexual discrimination, sexual harassment, sexual assault, relation violence, or stalking, I have to report it. Here are some writing resources for you. We do some writing in this course. So the Writing Center in Augusta, Bangor, and then the Vault, which is the University College online writing lab. Here is the grading scale, and here's the grading weighing. I'm going to look at that in more detail here. So there are these major assignments. An analysis of an article, that is 15% of your grade, 3 to 4 pages. Review of a book or movie, 15%, 2 to 3 pages. 10 hours of observation and reflection, 2 to 5 pages, 15%. Comprehensive universal design lesson plans, 2 of them, sequential, 15%, and then homework discussion, post 25%, and 3 quizzes throughout the semester at 10%, final assessment at 15%. I'm going to go into a little more detail of those major assignments in a minute. Here's the course outline for EDU 387. This is just a thumbnail sketch. Please make sure, that you are looking at Blackboard and not this. I've had students say, well, it's not on the syllabus. Well, no, it's not, because the syllabus is just a broad outline. There is much more to do than is here. Okay, this is just a general, the date and the topic and the basic things that happen that week. Okay, so you can look through there and you can see where things are located. Now here is some more information about those major articles. So major assignments are. So analysis of an article, you're going to be looking at a special education or a gifted and talented topic. You're going to find a peer-reviewed article that addresses that topic and then do a complete analysis of that, all right? It'll be 3 to 4 pages. You'll have parameters for that. You'll have a rubric for that. And it'll be, it'll be completed pretty early on in this semester. So the idea is to give you a sense of what's out there for research and what's out there for information. This one you need to be sort of thinking about early is your observation, requiring you to engage in 10 hours of observation in a classroom or community setting in which you spend time with children or adults with exceptionalities. So it's up to you to select a site and make arrangements for the observation. It could be any classroom, in a public school, and just when you observe, you're going to be paying attention to, the accommodations and modifications that you might see happening for students. It could be, in a daycare. It could be a Head Start. It could be an adult literacy. It could be anything. So you just need to decide what that's going to be, and you're going to let me know about that. You'll put a proposal in. If you plan on doing this in a public school, you need to have your Maine Department of Education criminal check completed. That's the fingerprinting. And I need to have a copy on file with me. So think carefully about where you're going to be going. Now, if you're going on in through teacher certification, you need the CHRC anyway. If you don't already have it, you should get it done. It's a really important piece. Most classes are going to ask you to do some sort of clinical or observational work. And when you get to student teaching, it's a must to have your CHRC in place. So if you don't have it, get it done, okay? And if you're not going through teacher certification, if you're here for some other reason, then, choose something besides a public school. Or, get your CHRC done anyway if you want to do it in a public school. Lesson plans, we're going to talk a lot more about that throughout the semester. You're going to be using universal design, and we're going to be talking about what that means. And you're going to be doing 2 sequential lesson plans, and I'll provide you with a template. The book or movie review is really fun. You're going to really like this. So you get to read a book or watch a movie that features an exceptionality, and then you're going to write a review. And the criteria for the review is here. And so everybody wants to do Forrest Gump. And even though I have it listed here, I would appreciate it if you would avoid Forrest Gump. Everybody does Forrest Gump. And look at some more contemporary movies. These are pretty classic movies that I just put up here, but look to see what some of the more contemporary movies are. The idea is to watch how the exceptionality is being treated by the general public and how it's featured. Okay, same thing for books, and there's a wealth of books out there, particularly young adult novels that deal with exceptionalities. And here are some possibilities, and these are just a very few. I've given you a couple websites for you to kind of explore. And then, of course, you have your homework discussion forums every week. And again, I've already talked about those requirements. So that's the syllabus, folks. And that's really pretty much the course. So let me go to course content, just so you can see what that looks like. This is the meat of this course. This is where you're going to spend most of your time. This is where the modules are. I have them in by week. And you'll notice that not all of them are revealed. That's because you would be overwhelmed if you saw everything that had to happen during this semester. I have left open the weeks where the major assignments are due, because during those weeks you don't get additional reading or discussion forums. So when this article analysis is assigned on February 3rd, you have until February 9th to complete it. Same thing with the book review, same thing with the observation, same thing with the universal design lesson plans. The observation, however, I would caution you to not wait until that week to do the observation. I would get that done ahead of time, but use that week for reflection and writing, okay? So those are all open to you for you to look at, just to remind you when they will be coming in the weeks. But the first week, which begins this Wednesday, January 20th, is this one, Success for All Children in Collaboration, the Team Approach. You have a welcome video from me, very short one, that goes over the instructions. I'm asking you to introduce yourself in the discussion forum. Whenever you see this icon, it means it's linked to discussion. So when you click on there, it takes you directly to the discussion forum, and you can see that 3 industrious people have already introduced themselves. I just opened this course last night, so I'm impressed. I hope that continues. When you open introductions, you will see who has introduced themselves by the thread. You can see that I introduced myself early on. To introduce yourself, you click on thread and then start a new thread with your introduction. And you can certainly comment on other people. So if you open mine and you have my introduction, you can reply to me if you'd like to make a comment. And you can do that to any of your peers as far as that goes, okay? So I'm going to go back to course content and week 1. And then you also have here 2 videos, one for chapter 1 and one for chapter 2, because you're going to be reading 2 chapters this week. There is a little caveat here for chapter 1 video. I'm recycling this from last spring when I taught this course, and a few things have changed in terms of current issues and trends, and that has to do with ESEA, and I've written that out here. So you'll see when you get to that slide that it's not complete or not accurate, and this does correct all that. I also give you the PowerPoint for each chapter. I may not use that PowerPoint for my lecture. I did in this particular case, but I don't here. But I give you the PowerPoint because it does help focus you on what to read in this text, and that's, I think, very useful. You have some supplemental things to read about RTI, which is a response to intervention, and you should read them. Don't skip those. Those will be very useful and helpful for you in terms of sort of wrapping your head around RTI and in entering the conversation with your peers about RTI. So your reading assignment here is 1 and 2, and I've also given you an additional reading on the essential components of RTI. There are 4 links, so make sure you open each one. So I'll show you what I mean. Don't just go to the main site, the parent site. You have 4 different links. Go to each one and read the information there. That will be important. Your discussion forum is here, and I'll let you read about that, but you'll go to your discussion forum, link there, and participate. You will not be able to see anybody else's responses or posts until you make one. Okay, so you have to do your initial homework piece first, then you'll be able to see what everybody else said and be able to respond to them. One note is that when you are responding to people, make sure you put the name of the person you're responding either in the heading or somewhere at the beginning, so I know who you're responding to. Because when it shows up in my grade center, it shows up everything you did by you, not according to the discussion post. So sometimes I don't know who you're talking about. So make sure you do that. All right. So that's week 1. I think it's pretty straightforward. One thing I do want to mention that in this text, there's a lot of nooks and crannies, and by that I mean there's a lot of sort of pullouts. Like here's one whole page. I'm sorry, I can't get this straight. One whole purple page that's not part of the narrative, running narrative. Make sure you're reading those, okay? There are these other sort of red ones, red pull-out pages. Oh, I'll get this straight here. There we go. It's hard to do this backwards. Red pull-out pages like this, and there's a bunch of other ones. So you want to read the chapter thoroughly, but then you also want to go back and look at those nook and crannies, is what I call them. And then at the end of each chapter, there's a summary that really sums up what's going on in that chapter. Make sure you read that. There are some activities at the end of the chapter. You don't have to do those, but you might want to read them just to see what the authors of this text are suggesting would be good ways of working through the material. There's a lot of material in this class, so it's going to be important to digest this. I recommend a double entry journal approach to taking notes, and you should take notes as you read. You could use the PowerPoints that I provide, and you can print those out and take notes on those as you read, because those do highlight the major portions. That might be a way to do it. Or you could have just a journal where you divide the page down the middle and you pull out certain ahas or quotes on one side, then react to them on the other. You don't want to transcribe the whole chapter, but you do want to pull out important pieces that you feel you need to retain. So do take notes. Don't just read it like you're reading a novel. Read it like you're reading an informational text. And reading an informational text means you need to digest it, and you need to take notes. You need to be able to review those notes, quiz yourself. Think about what things you need to hang on to and what things that you don't really need to hang on to, particularly things you could easily look up. But when you're working with children, exceptional children, you'll want to be able to pull this information pretty quickly. You don't want to have to go and Google it. All right. Okay, so I think that's it, and I'm going to stop talking now. My grades. I do want to show you that. There's my grades is kind of I've taught this course so many times, and I've tried to use the same Blackboard site and just bring it up to date. So some of these in here, it says group forums. Those do not pertain to you. I don't do group forums anymore. I'll try to get rid of them for you, but for now, they're there. But you can see here that you can get your grades for each activity, and there's a rubric. So you can open the rubric and see how is she scoring me in this. So you don't have to email and say, why did I get a 16? This will tell you why you got a 16. Okay, and then when you go down to the bottom, again, getting through all that, those that don't matter. The major assignments are here, and there are rubrics for those. I don't have rubrics up for these 2 yet, but I will eventually. I just haven't done them yet. And I may change these a little bit before we get there, but I'll always tell you if I do, and I'll always post the most current rubric with the assignment. But most importantly, this is where I give you feedback. So if I give you feedback on something, it's going to show up in your grade center. So you'll need to make sure to look at that and explore that. Sometimes it's a narrative that's just on part of the little Word document that's on the assignment tab. Sometimes I give feedback on a paper, I give comments on the paper itself. Sometimes I do it on the rubric. Sometimes I do all 3. So you'll need to look at all of them to see what the feedback is and use that feedback, okay? All right, I think that's it. Oh, emailing, that's another important thing, sorry. So you can email anybody in the course from here. You can look up a student user and email that person. It doesn't show their email address. And you can email me this way as well. It doesn't matter. Although you can just, put my email in and it'll be fine. But what's most important is that you use your university email. Make sure it's activated and make sure you're using it. If you're having it forward to a personal email, make sure it's still working, because I get a lot of pingbacks when I send emails out to students that their forwarding is not working. So make sure if you're forwarding your university email that it's working. The university says that I must use the student's university email for all official communication. So, so when I send emails out, and I often do, part of an online course is using email as a communicating tool. If you're not using your university email, you're going to miss the email. And then I'm going to get an email or a phone call from you wondering what the heck's going on because you didn't understand it. That's because you didn't get the email. So make sure your email is working. Excellent. Well, that's it, folks. So welcome to EDU 387. Again, I'm looking forward to a great semester. I love spring because we go from cold and snow to green and sun, and I am definitely a sun person. So with that, have a great day.